to our podcast, Inspiring Living with me, Mark Candelaria. I'm an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I'm the founder and now partner of a fabulous 25-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country. We have hosted tours to Italy, Spain, and now Napa over the last 20 years, and in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. Our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture into all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. Sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Because Inspiring Living is all about the people and the organizations that inspire us, we are excited to have Monogram Appliances as one of our sponsors. Anytime we do a new kitchen or a kitchen remodel, Monogram Appliances are what we recommend to our client. Their appliances are the definition of luxury, meticulously detailed, using the finest materials and an ownership experience that is second to none. We are getting real excited. Our kitchen at the Candelaria Design Offices is coming together. Monogram is furnishing a complete package for us. We're going to be able to do full dinners there, right there in our office, and so I'm excited about having a late meeting and then coming back to the kitchen, whipping up a nice little dinner. Very excited about what we're going to be able to do on those Monogram appliances. So I'm looking forward to some fun dinners, so stay tuned for that. But this is how Monogram is always thinking ahead and inspiring and elevating the kitchen experience. Because at Monogram, they don't just elevate one thing, they elevate everything. Okay, well, welcome to week number 2 already of the new year, 2020. I sure hope everyone had a great holiday season. It's kind of nice to be back to a normal Monday again. Man, I tell you, having that holiday, Christmas and New Year's in the middle of the week just kind of throws you totally off, and kids don't know what day it is. And I tell you, it's just kind of nice to be back to a normal week. And we're going to start off the new year with a great podcast. I've got a wonderful guest. It's Jennifer Gage. She is the founder and the CEO of Gigi's Playhouse, beautiful facility that both Isabel and I are very involved in. We helped design the original facility, the Gigi's Playhouse, with my associate Damon Wake and Isabel's associate Nika Bokniak. And I'll tell you what, they did a great job, and then we carried it right on into the Gigi's Cafe and University. It's over there like 92nd Street and Shea area. I mean, if you get a chance and you're just in the neighborhood, drop by. You will really be glad you did. What they're doing there for what's now up to 700 families, it's simply astounding to see how far they've come in the, I guess it's been about 7 years that we've been working on this now, but it's a beautiful thing. It's something that is very grassroots, and there's not a lot of bureaucracy in this charity. And they're having their big gala this coming Saturday, and I know there's still some seats available. So if you really want to come out and support a great group, have a fun evening, we're going to have a lot of fun people there. Trust me, it's going to be a fun evening. Get on the website. We'll have the information on our story notes. And join us on Saturday night. You're gonna really be glad you did. You're gonna be glad you get involved with this organization because they are making such an impact. And Jennifer Gage is just such a dynamic person, and you're gonna love listening to her. She came in. We recorded this on Saturday, and she was very emotional because she's really trying to get this thing done, this gala all put together, and she's running this new company, StretchLab, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. She's got 3 of those going with, I think, the potential for 7 more franchises. So she's doing that with her friend Danica. She's got the gala going. She's got 4 kids, a husband. She is a busy, busy gal. And Letitia Fry, who did our podcast just before the end of the year, she will be the auctioneer at the gala. And go back and listen to her podcast. If you want to see 2 dynamic women in a row on our podcast, we've got them. So I encourage you to listen. I think you're going to enjoy it. And Happy New Year. Let's make it a great one. All right, it's a beautiful Saturday here. We're going to release this podcast on Monday, but I have one of my dearest friends, a lady who truly inspires me, and my wife Isabel, and they're good friends. Unfortunately, in life, we never get enough time to spend with each other. We all know how that ride goes, but I'm fortunate enough to have an hour with this lady this morning, just before her big gala on the 11th, right?
Yep, that's
I've
right.
got Jennifer Gage here. She's the founder of Gigi's Playhouse, Gigi's Cafe, Gigi's University, all of which we've been a proud part of. And
Yes, you have. Yep.
She's put this gala on in about a week and a half.
Yep. 7 days.
7 days.
Yeah,
7 days away.
Yep.
And it's crunch time, right?
It sure is.
And we were talking a little bit before you walked in here about what it's like to put this all on. And this is the 7th year that we've been involved with Gigi's.
7th year.
God, that's crazy. I can't believe it's gone by that fast.
Time flies.
It flies, doesn't it?
Yep.
So let's talk about the gala a little bit. It's next Saturday. It's at the Marriott.
JW Marriott at Desert Ridge.
Desert Ridge.
5 p.m.
5
We're going to have
p.m.
a hosted cocktail hour.
Okay.
And a great program featuring all sorts of really cool people in the Valley. Letitia Fry, who I know you've had on your show.
Yeah, she was on our podcast a couple weeks ago, and she's an amazing lady.
Amazing.
Yeah, as are you. I mean,
Carrie
both of you.
Pena from
Carrie Pena's
Inspired Media.
I'm getting her on here in a few weeks. So she's another one that just kills it and crushes it. And I love her.
And
who else? Keep going.
Brett Michaels is our entertainment again this year. He did such a great job for us last year. We really enjoyed having him, and he really struck a chord with our participants. He had a great time.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. I was there. We were there last year. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was a
lot of fun
party.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Eric Jimenez and Jen DeStefano put on a great event. So
right.
They really set the bar high.
So let's talk about this. I mean, the gala, they're fun. There are a lot of activity. There's dancing. You got music and great food, but the purpose of it is to raise funds for Gigi's Playhouse. So tell us about Gigi's Playhouse.
Yeah, so Gigi's is a Down Syndrome Achievement Center. We service people from prenatal diagnosis. So if you are having a child and you find out that in utero that they have Down syndrome, you can come in and get support and really find out, what are the next steps after you have your baby.
Right.
And we take that child and that family through their life. This past year, as you know, we opened our career development center called Gigi University.
Which I think is just amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah, for young adults. So it's really the answer to what do you do when the bus stops coming.
Right.
So kids in Arizona with Down syndrome can go to school until they're 22.
Okay.
And then there really isn't anything after that unless, of course there's work programs and things that you can do, but but to really keep them on that trajectory to find meaningful employment. And I think that's the difference between getting a job at the local Fry's, which is awesome, but what is their passion? What do they really want to do? We have a young man, Brett, at our Playhouse, and if you ask Brett what he wants to be when he grows up,
yep.
He says, I want to be a bartender. Well, how do we make that happen? And so it was cool this past year. Dirk Bentley, a couple of our volunteers took him over to Dirk Bentley and talked to the owner and the head bartender, and they put Brett behind the bar.
That is so cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah, I heard his podcast. I think it was on Ed Milet's show about a month or so ago. What an amazing story that guy has.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so cool. He's right here from the Valley.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know you guys had hooked up like that. So that's very neat.
It's amazing, and I think that getting the community really involved and buying into the fact that these are people that have strengths and they have passions and they have goals, just like all of us.
Right.
And that really makes them more like us than not like us.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did an interview with Nikki Wohler a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I know Nikki.
And I know she's been doing some cool stuff. And we've strategized a couple fun activities for bringing that passion out of some of your people.
Yeah, she does art with participants
Yeah.
every month, and she's working on a piece right now with a lot of the participants that will auction off at the gala.
Yeah, I got a little sneak peek of that.
It's gorgeous.
Looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's got some good stories that I'm not going to say now because I don't want to give them away. But that was a real inspiring piece that she put together, and I'm glad you two have hooked up because I think you two are a great combination.
Well, you've introduced me to a lot of really fantastic people over the years.
It's been fun.
So,
So how did you get into the whole thing with Gigi's Playhouse? How was it you?
Well, so my daughter Kaitlyn, as you know, my first child was born with Down syndrome.
Yep.
She's 23 now. When Gigi's kind of came across my desktop, it was a girlfriend of mine, Leslie Robertson, who had found it on the internet. And I was in California for the summer, and she called me and she said, "Hey, have you heard about Gigi's Playhouse?" And I said, "No. What is it?" And she's like, "You got to check it out." So I put it off. I didn't even look at it. I get home. "Hey, did you look at Gigi's Playhouse?" "No, I haven't had a chance. I'll check it out." Finally, I go on. I read the national founder. Her name is Nancy Gianni. I read her story, and read about what Gigi's Playhouse is, and called Leslie and I said, "Shit, we got to do this." So we got together. Leslie, Val Schlesinger, and I got together, and we put together a startup committee and started fundraising and putting it together. Within 18 months, we opened. As you know, you guys designed the initial Playhouse, and Isabel did the interiors, and it was just such a warm and welcoming and something that no one had.
Right.
No one had what we were offering, and it was really I don't know how we did it, but
just happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what I've learned in life. Sometimes the hardest part a lot of times is just getting started.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Ed Milet always says, you can't drive a parked car.
No.
You know, so it's like get the car moving. You don't know where it might go. You have a vision of where it's going to go.
That's right.
But you just get it going. You know?
And I think that's sort of the story of my life is just building the plane while we're flying it.
You have to, right?
Right. So
I mean, I see so many people that just sit there and plan and never pull the trigger, and it's like just pull the frickin' trigger and go.
Right.
You know, and that's what I love about you, is you do pull the trigger.
I do. I mean, I think that my feeling was that if we could build it and we could show people what we do, they're going to want to get involved. They're going to want to fund it. But if we're just telling people about it, we're talking about it, then it's not really real.
Right.
So let's just get it done, and then they'll get it.
Yeah. Then they see the vision. Most people don't ever get the vision. I mean, I design houses, and it's the same thing. It's like, I don't see it, you know. And I'll do one of my little doodles. Oh wow, that's what that's could look like. It's the same thing. I've learned to apply that knowledge to life.
Yep.
You know, it's just show the vision to somebody, and then boom, it starts to happen. So. We've done that with the Playhouse. We've done it with the cafe, and the university, your own house, and that's how we met, which was pretty cool. I remember exactly where I was when either you called me or I got your email. I won't tell you where it was, but I was in bed with Isabel. I was reading my emails.
I was in Hawaii.
Were you in Hawaii? Okay. And it was like, I don't know what year it was, 2009, 10, something like that?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. We found the lot in Silverleaf, and Matt said, do you have an architect in mind? And I said, well, I do, but I don't think he'll do, a little project like this.
Yeah. Well, your project wasn't that little.
Well.
But I'll tell you, 2009 and 10, I think you could have called me to design a doghouse, and I probably would have, because it was so horrible back then. And you guys got a good deal on that lot, from what I remember, which we can talk about that lot later. But it was a good deal when you bought it. But we had some challenges that we all overcome, just like everything else. But anyway, you hired us. We started designing the house. And it was a beautiful little flat lot right when you come into Arcadia Silverleaf. So it's like the first house you see. So that was another reason I was very motivated.
Yeah. I think they call it a signature lot.
Signature lot,
Yeah.
So then we kind of started getting into the design of it, and we broke out the little pieces and design, and kind of was neat as the shape of your lot was unique, and we came up with something that I thought was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I mean, when we bought that lot, it's kind of a pie shaped, and it was like how do you build a square house on this piece of property,
right.
and make it work for your family,
right?
And you did such a fantastic job. I loved using the puzzle pieces. I tell that story all the time,
Yeah.
how we just sat in your office and
did it
and
together.
you said, hey, what rooms do you envision? And
Right.
pulled all the puzzle pieces together, and we just started building it. And that was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And then we found out we had to bring in 8 feet of dirt to get it out of the quote-unquote floodplain that supposedly existed, right?
That's right. And dirt ain't dirt cheap.
No, so all of a sudden we have this flat lot. We're having to build up 8 feet of dirt to pile the house on top of. And we did a 2-story house on top of the 8 foot of dirt.
Yeah, the neighbors were freaking out.
They were freaking
Yeah,
out. Everyone was freaking out. But,
yeah.
So that was the rules. So
Yeah, our one Italian neighbor came over and he goes, "Oh, why? Oh, why you gotta build it so high?"
you're making an Italian hill town next to my house here.
I thought for sure they were gonna have us over every week for Sunday gravy, but never did happen.
Yeah. So then as we started putting the design together, I said, well, who are you working with for your interior designer?
That's right.
And he said, well, I haven't really thought of anybody. I said, well, I've got, my girlfriend at the time.
At the time. Yeah, fiance.
My fiance.
Maybe,
I think we were
yeah.
fiance at that point. I said, she's getting into interior design. She just did a remodel with our friends, the Giltners, up in Desert Mountain. But we had never done a house from the beginning together until we got to your house.
Yeah, and Isabel and I went out for lunch, and she brought some books with her, and she just kind of set them in front of me, and we talked, and she said, while we're sitting here, just start looking through and pulling things that you love,
right.
Images that you like. And so I pulled them all out and gave them to her, and she's looking through them, and she's like, "Oh, I love your style." And we had such a great lunch.
Yeah.
And as we started going through the process and picking out and looking at like tiles and colors, and I knew this was my person. Like her and I have the same aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
We get along so well. She's an incredible woman, just very accomplished.
Yep.
And
another fighter.
Yeah. Yep. She sure is.
Yep. So we got the house done, built. You guys have been living in there for what now?
Oh God, 5 years.
Is it 5 years? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That goes fast. And then we coerced you into our Italy tour.
Oh God, that was so fun.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was a fun trip.
That was a really fun
I'm
trip.
trying to remember who was on your trip. I think it was
Giltners.
Yeah, the Giltners.
Gosh.
Was it Phyllis and
Yep,
Doré?
Phyllis and
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 Tim
Doré.
from my office.
Yep.
And they got engaged.
Duo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
we
got
call them
engaged.
duo. Yep. Yeah, it was a fantastic
Yeah, we
trip.
had a good trip. And my best memory of that trip was the day over to Capri and the boat ride back.
Yeah, we had rented that boat that day,
Yeah.
and
We'll post that picture with your story because to me that's just one of the best moments of my life was that boat ride
it
back.
was beautiful,
So
and the
beautiful.
sun
Sun
setting,
it was just like
yeah.
God was shining on us that afternoon.
I know.
Yeah.
It was cool, and the captain that looked like Zac Efron.
Yeah,
'Cause that was really the best part.
I didn't
for
notice
me.
that part.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at the two of you and Phil and Renee, and I was enjoying all of that. So, we've had some great times. And then you asked us to get involved with Gigi's.
Yeah, I have
Isabel
this
wrote your
habit.
first check, I think.
Yeah, she sure did.
Yeah.
She did. It was, I can't remember the amount, but it was very generous. And in the memo line, she wrote "for dreams coming true."
There you go.
And it really was just sort of, me reaching out to my friends, and I've done it over and over and over again. And I always come back to how generous my community is. I've lived here for 30 plus years, and it never ceases to amaze me.
Right. So where are you from originally?
Well, I grew up in Minnesota
Okay.
until I was about 12, and then my mom and I moved to Chicago. She got remarried, and we lived there for about 4 years. She was divorced, and then we moved to Arizona. So I was about 16 when we moved here.
Now, how did they come to Arizona? What was the reason?
My grandparents owned property here.
Okay.
So it was a way for my mother to get out of a bad marriage. And they said, Kathy, just go to Arizona, live in the house there, get back on your feet.
Wow.
And so that's really how we came to Arizona.
Interesting.
Yep. Yep. Threw everything in a U-Haul and
Headed
had
southwest.
no air conditioning, and it was probably August, I think. And
you said you were 16?
I was 16.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So where'd you go to high school? Where'd you finish up?
I actually went to 2 high schools in Arizona. I went to Westwood and Mesa.
Okay.
And then we moved to Scottsdale and finished at Chaparral.
Okay.
Yep.
Chaparral girl.
I know, right?
Yeah.
What do they call it? Shaptown.
Shaptown. So then where'd you go from there?
So, at that point, I had a boyfriend whose his parents owned Totem Sewing and Vacuum Center.
Okay.
And I love this because it was really sort of an interesting time for me. I was done with school. I didn't really want to go to college. I did, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. And Dan's parents sent us out on the road selling sewing machines. And we made a boatload of money.
That's cool.
But we saw the whole country. We went into these little podunk towns and sold sewing machines for 2 weeks a crack. And then I came back and started school.
But I'm sure you had a whole different perspective
Yeah.
of what school meant and was about after doing that experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I'm telling a lot of the kids these days. I said, don't go right from high school to college. You're going to live to be 120.
Yeah.
Okay? So take your 20s and just figure out who in the hell you are.
I
before
agree
you
with
waste
you.
all that money on some podunk degree that you ain't gonna use.
Well, and there's the degree of life.
Yeah,
I think
that's the best degree.
Right. If you have something that you're passionate about or you can do and you can rise through the ranks that way, that is almost better than a college education when you're a company.
That's my story.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I think that's good advice.
So then you did go back to college.
I did. I went to college. I went to Scottsdale Community College.
Okay, I did that.
Then I moved to Tucson and I went to Pima Community College.
Okay.
Then I went to U of A.
Okay.
And
we won't hold that against you.
Okay,
I had Juan Roque in the house last night, so let her slide, Juan.
Oh no. And then moved back to Phoenix and went to ASU. Now I met my husband before I finished school.
Okay. Where at?
We met at Christopher's.
Oh, okay. Nice place.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he was a waiter and I was a hostess, and the rest is history.
Okay.
Yep. And
you were a waitress at Christopher's?
I was a waitress. I'm sorry. He was a waiter and I was a hostess.
At Christopher's.
At Christopher's.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. And so I did not go back to school. We ended up getting married, and I got pregnant pretty quickly after with Kaitlyn.
Wow.
But I will tell you, 3 years ago, I finally graduated from ASU.
Good job.
Thank you.
See, you just keep getting it done. You never give up.
Yeah, I like to stay busy, and it was definitely low hanging fruit. And
So
I
what
had
was
a
your
daughter
degree
going
in?
to political science with a minor in history.
Well, that's pretty darn good.
I'm not going to do anything with it.
Well,
but
you
know.
don't know. You don't know
never
what's
know.
ahead. I mean, I could see you being a state senator
Oh God, no.
or running for president someday.
No, thank you. I'll pass.
So you got that done. You and Matt got married.
Mm-hmm.
You had Kaitlyn.
Yep. Had Kaitlyn, and then shortly after got pregnant with my second child. So I was really just, busy being a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And Matt was busy trying to figure out how to make more money to support, a new wife and his 2 new children. And so fast forward, we had 2 more kids. And, we really came across Gigi's when Kaitlyn was in high school. And I thought, God, this program that they have for young adults would be perfect for her.
Right.
So if we can just get this open and then get that up and running and then look at the university and fund that. And I think, at that point I had come back to you and I said, hey, can you help me out with this?
Yeah.
And
well, we were on it in 2 seconds.
Oh yeah. No, you didn't even flinch.
Well, I mean it, and the person who really gets credit for it is Damon Wake in my office. I mean, he's the one that took the ball from our team and just ran with it, and continues to do. He's on the board of your organization.
He's
now.
doing a fantastic job, and right now they're finishing up the studio cafe. They're working with the city on the sign. So yeah, he's still very involved.
Oh yeah, he loves it,
and he's a great human being.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
we
totally.
love Damon. So
he wasn't on your Italy trip, but he was on one subsequent to yours, and I don't know if you've been his girlfriend, Janessa.
Yep, Janessa.
Yeah,
Yep.
beautiful people. So I'm lucky. I'm always around really nice people.
You do. You
I've
surround
learned-
yourself with good
I've learned
folks.
that's the key to life is just keep
Yeah.
the good people around you and don't worry about the other ones so
Yeah.
much.
Yep.
Right? You probably learned the same
Absolutely.
thing.
I think you do. You
Yep.
know, you get a little older, a little wiser, a little more experience behind you, and I think you go through things that really show you who your friends are.
Really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy when everything's going good.
It is.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's not so easy when it's tough. That's when you find who your real friends are.
You really do.
Yeah. So we talked a little early before you got in here. I mean, you founded this organization, which is unbelievable. And I think the trick now is you've been at it 7 years.
Yep.
And you got the gala coming and the pressure of putting that whole thing together.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a lot of pressure, isn't it? I mean, it basically consumes you in some way.
It does. You know, I think we were just talking about there's sort of this thing that happens when you start something and you're excited and you're bringing people along for the ride and the journey, and it's kind of pie in the sky, and you're hopeful and you're excited, and then you do it, and then you do it again, and you kind of go through it for the next few years, and you grow. And we've gone from serving 35 families that first year to over 700.
That's amazing.
It is, and it becomes an enormous responsibility.
Yeah.
And
well, then the resources to do that
yeah,
quadruple or
right. And I always worry about going back to the same well.
Yeah.
I mean, you have your friends and supporters, and they love you, but how many times can you keep going back and asking them for more and more? And quite frankly, they always give it, but I always feel the pressure of I'm asking for too much. And I think there's a little bit of a dark side to what we do, in this role.
Mm-hmm.
We love it. I mean, I love it.
Right.
It's absolutely my passion project. It serves families, and I think that we all want to do something on this earth, leaving behind something,
right,
a legacy, and this is mine.
Yeah.
And but the dark side of that is it takes a lot out of you.
right.
And
Because it never ends. That's what you're talking about. It's like it just keeps going, and every year it gets a little bit bigger. It's just that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it's a lot. You definitely feel the pressure. It's a lot of responsibility, and you don't want to let anyone down.
Right.
But you also need to step back and ask yourself, is this sustainable? Can I continue to do this?
Right.
And I think that that's where I'm at right now. It's just it's probably time for me to sort of take a step back and let other people take the reins. And I'm looking
that's
for
kind of what I'm going through with my company.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's something you have to do. I think the key to it all is getting the Damon Wakes and getting the Vivians and getting the people that have that same passion. And they're a little younger than you or whatever, but they can take the ball and run with it. And what I'm finding is if I can pass it off to 3 or 4 people, then I've got 3 or 4 people making those calls and making those follow-ups, and you expand the bubble with people that really care.
Yep.
And then you don't have it's not all on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finding those people is not easy.
It isn't, and it's like who are you going to give your baby to?
Yeah, that's totally what it is.
And what if it fails? And then are you ultimately responsible for that failure? And so there's a lot of it's a lot of mind games that go on with kind of thinking through things like this that you don't consider when you first get into it.
Right.
But certainly.
You're driving the car down the road, and all of a sudden, do I turn right here or do I turn left here?
Yeah.
The car's moving.
Yeah.
It's not parked.
No.
It's moving, and you have to make a decision, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what people I don't think get. And there's all these other cars coming at you in different directions and bumps in the road and
it's
and you can't stop.
And it's funny, I just recently started working for money, so I've been
We'll talk about that.
professional volunteer for basically my whole life, but It's interesting. How do you motivate a volunteer?
Right.
And everyone volunteers for different reasons. So you have to understand,
What's their motivation?
right, what is their motivation? And then you have to tap into that. And then you have to be able to, to fill that in them.
Right.
But everybody has a different reason.
Right.
So it is 1,000 moving parts and 1,000 personalities and people doing things for different reasons and trying to honor them and appreciate them in the way that they want to be.
Right. So they feel they're making a
recognized.
contribution and they're part of it.
Yeah. And that's hard.
Yeah.
And and then, when we started the business and we started hiring people and they work for money and you say, hey, I need you to do something, and they do it, and they don't ask questions, and they're like, oh, what do you want me to do next?
Just their job there.
It's just, I'm like, wow, this is so easy.
It's a different perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
So talk about your business.
So StretchLab.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think because I just need one more project.
Yeah, I was like, how are you doing this? Anyway, I'll tell you what. I mentioned StretchLab to people, and they go, "Oh, that's so cool! I've heard about that. I want to try that." So you're on a lot of people's radar.
Well, I think anytime that you find something that you love and you share it with other people, that's the success, right? If you can recognize something, and this is a great thing,
right? So you found this through an injury that you had, is that right?
Yeah, I was playing tennis in California last summer, and or I guess the summer before last, and hurt my shoulder and just couldn't get any relief.
Yeah.
And found StretchLab through a Pilates instructor. Went in, had a stretch, and felt instantly better. And I hadn't felt better for a couple months.
Yeah.
So when I came back to Arizona, I typed StretchLab into my Google search, and it didn't come up. And I asked Matt, I said, hey, I can't find a StretchLab. And he's like, well, maybe it's a franchise. Why don't you look into it? And within about 6 weeks, we owned the rights to 10 here in the Valley.
Wow.
So
how many do you have right now?
We have 3 open.
Okay.
And
where are they?
One's in Arcadia, 44th and Indian School, and then we have one in North Scottsdale up in the Greyhawk Center, the Fry's Greyhawk Center, and then and one in the shops at Gainey Village. And
great locations.
Great locations.
Yep.
And we have over 700 members, and we did this in 1 year. And I couldn't have done it without my very, very good friend, who has been with me at Gigi's from almost day one, Danica O'Leary.
I love her. I mean, it's funny because I think of you, but I almost immediately think of her as soon as I think of you.
Uno dos.
Yeah, totally.
The 1-2. we call it the 1-2 punch.
the dos amigas.
The dos amigas. Yes. But she, she's just. We're so different, but the two of us bring something really unique, from both of our backgrounds, and I think that's worked for us at Gigi's. It's worked for us at StretchLab. It's not easy, I'm not going to say it's all,
No, there's
unicorns
always
and rainbows, but you
everyone
know what?
looks at
it
us
makes us
and
stronger.
think that's what it is.
Right? Yeah.
Everyone looks at us and goes, "Oh, how do you do all that? It looks so easy to you." It's like if you only knew, right?
I'm glad we make it look so easy.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard.
It's hard.
But it's good. I mean, I think at the end of the day, and you go to bed and you say, did I do something worthwhile today?
Right.
And that's, that's kind of my litmus test of
that's your motivation.
What was a good day? Yeah.
Yeah. And really, I think even on the worst days, I try not to focus on the bad parts of that day. I try to focus on where was the good in this day? What was it? And just, okay, I'm focusing on that, instead of
the silver lining.
So many people just get caught up in the bad. It's like that's all they can think about is what bad happened. Poor me. And it's like, no, just flip it around, because then that energy supersedes itself to the next day. I think
it does. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And I mean, working with families with Down syndrome and people with Down syndrome, quite frankly, it's your worst day. It could be their best day.
Yeah.
And, I think that really keeps it into perspective for me when I'm feeling, a little bit like I just can't do this anymore. Well, they face that every day.
Right.
They face those obstacles every day and those feelings of vulnerability and inadequacy and being judged and so
it's got to be so tough when you think about it.
Yeah. And so giving them the tools and giving them the opportunities.
Right.
I mean, that's it. It's so simple. It sounds so complicated, but it really is simple.
Right. So how do you, I mean, you got StretchLab going, you got Gigi's Playhouse. What do you do to take care of yourself?
Not enough.
Where do you find the balance, as Letitia Fry was telling us?
You know, that is a work in progress.
It's
for
hard,
me.
isn't it?
It's
the
really
same thing for me. It's hard
Yeah.
to find that balance because
Yeah.
I'm just so go too.
You know,
But I know you go to Laguna.
I do. Yep, every
get
summer.
over there.
I get over there. We try to get over there at least once a month. You know, I do take time for myself.
Yeah, no, I see it.
I am sort of that extroverted introvert, so I can be out there and be social, and I love my friends, and then I have to really just shut down
Yeah.
and
Take
go
care of
inside.
yourself.
Yeah,
Go in your cocoon.
go in my cocoon, and I guess that's how. I mean, like I said, it's still a work in progress, and I'm going to just keep moving until I don't move anymore, I guess.
Yeah. So are there books or podcasts that you listen to, or how do you feed your soul? What things do you do?
Well, you know, I've been reading some good books this year. Brené Brown's Daring Greatly was a great book for me. I just got done with The Art of War for Women.
Yeah.
Which I know there's a million alliterations of that book, but that one spoke to me a lot right now as a businesswoman.
Good.
Next on my list, I have Talking to Strangers.
Haven't heard of that one.
That might be a good one for you too, because you know it's how to communicate, and I think that's so important in anything that you do.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, and then podcasts. Oh, Letitia recommended Oprah's Soul.
Yeah.
Soul Conversations.
Right.
So I've been listening to those, and of course, you know, Inspired Living.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you got some really interesting people on.
Yeah, no, I'm getting there. I keep working it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what the one thing I have loved about my job is just the people like you that I've gotten to meet along the way. And now what I kind of do is I don't worry about it. I don't think about it. I just kind of let it come to me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like the more people like you that I've met, and Letitia and all these wonderful people I've had on my podcast, it's just, there's an energy. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but don't you feel that?
Yeah,
Like
I
when
do.
you surround yourself with that energy, it just brings more of that energy around you.
It does. It does. It's you know, there's all sorts of words for it.
Yeah.
And but you're right. It's the more that you put that out there, the more it comes back to you. And you know, as we get older, I think we see it every day.
Sure. So do you have a daily routine, or is every day just like totally different?
I mean, in a weird way, yeah, I guess I do, but I don't think anyone would look at it as a routine. It's sort of like you know, like an ADD routine. I don't know.
It sounds like we have the same routine. I'm Mr. ADD for sure. I mean, I try to get into little routines, and oh my gosh.
The distractions, right?
There's just so many things I have to get done.
I
It's
know.
Like, I love that time between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. where I can just power stuff in and get stuff done.
Yeah, we're the same.
Yeah.
Yep. That's my, nobody's awake. Nobody's emailing you or calling you yet. You can just, you know, get a whole day's worth of work done. And
I mean, I try to get up. I try to meditate, which sometimes I have a little time. So I'll get out there, especially when it's a little warmer. I like to sit out there and just think about my day and visualize it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like to exercise, which I obviously need to do a ton more.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, so I try, you know, if I don't do it in the morning, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
I ain't going to go at 5 o'clock. Forget that. There's too much shit going on. So I try to get that. I got to do a better job of that. But you play tennis still, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, not enough, but I do. Yeah. I need to do more. I have the meditative. I bought the app, and every morning at 7 a.m. it says it's time to meditate. I'm like, okay, I'll try you tomorrow.
I've got a good app that I've been using. It's pretty cool. I use it.
Which one are you using?
It's called, I forget what it's, Mind something. I'll send it
there's
to
a
you.
bunch. Yeah,
it's a good one.
Okay,
Primer, something Primer.
Huh.
He's good. He basically is a hypnotist.
Ooh.
So yeah, he kind of hypnotizes you over the phone. I may be hypnotized right now for all we know. You know, who knows? So yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you that I just wanted to hear your perspective is knowing what you know now and what you've been through. If you had to do it all over again and you were your kids right now, what would you tell them about living life and life ahead? Or another way to put it is, if you could go back to 22, knowing what you know now.
I think I think for me it was not to be so afraid.
Yeah.
And not to take yourself too seriously, and not to worry what other people think.
Totally.
And I think that last one, kids today, they're just so worried about, I can't leave that on red. Do your kids say that?
I haven't heard that one.
Okay, well, that's like when you read somebody's text and you don't respond, and you've left them on red.
They're just hanging.
They're just hanging. They're waiting for your response. And, there's certainly things that we never had to think about, but worrying about what other people think. Yeah. And I don't anymore. I mean, I've gotten over that, but I'm a lot older.
Yeah.
And I've been through a lot more, and I wish I would have thought about those things when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I look back, same exact thing for me is like my 20s to 30s. I spent so much time worrying about stuff that was a total waste of time. I mean, my hair was a good example. I used to love my hair. I still have blow dry hair dreams, So, now that I'm bald, oh my God, what was I worried about? It's 10 times better being bald than having all this damn hair to worry about. So much easier.
All right.
So I've kind of applied that experience to lots of things. And it's like, I could care less. I'm going to do what I enjoy doing as long as it's helping other people.
Right.
And I'm doing something that's positive, then I'm fine. I don't have to worry what someone thinks. Like this podcast is a good example. I don't care if you don't like it. You think I'm a nutball. I am a nutball. So who cares? But I love doing this stuff.
We love you, Mark.
Yeah. I'm going to do what I love to do, and I'm going to have fun with the people I want to have fun with. So screw all of the rest of you.
That's right.
But no, I think that's been the best lesson I've learned also.
Yeah.
I think it's so I enjoy being older because I think you have the aches and pains and that whole
get to StretchLab.
I got to get to StretchLab. We talked about that. In fact, we talked about it last night with the Giltners, and I think we're all coming to StretchLab.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So, but what I was going to say is, I just feel like it's so much freeing to be with the knowledge that I have now than what I didn't have when I was in my 20s. I wish I had the energy of my 20s with the knowledge I have now.
Yeah.
It'd be really extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But I would prefer this over that.
I agree. I would agree with you. I mean,
Right?
I think that, especially after Kaitlyn was born, I remember walking through the mall, and I wouldn't make eye contact with people. I felt very isolated. I felt like people were judging me, and what I realize now, and I tell this story all the time, people are just looking at a baby.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the Down syndrome. They probably don't even know.
Right. But you were aware of it.
But I knew it.
Yeah.
And it held me back from so many times, being invited to an outing or a birthday party and saying no because I was self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if Kaitlyn would do or say something that would be embarrassing.
Right.
And now I think, what a waste.
Right.
What a waste of time, because you're right. Who cares?
Who cares?
And
in the whole scheme of things,
you just got to be yourself, be authentic.
Totally.
Do
right?
the best you can.
Do the best you can.
You're going to piss people off. People are going to think you're brilliant.
Right.
I mean, you can't control that. So
Right.
I think you just control what you can.
I always kind of say, if they're so worried about me, what does that say about them in terms of their time and their energy? If they're focusing on me,
yeah.
it's like
that's a great point.
They're obviously wasting their time focusing on me.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, you guys need to do something.
Look inward.
Look inward a little bit.
Yeah. Look
before
inward.
you focus on me. So I think that's very true. So what's ahead for you? We talked about that a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I think more of the same. I'm to kind of what we talked about. I'm looking for somebody to kind of take the reins a little bit with Gigi's.
That's good.
Of course, StretchLab, we continue to grow.
Yeah.
So we'll be busy with that.
You're busy with your kids.
Busy with the kids. I mean, they're all growing up, and
goes fast, doesn't it?
That's a whole nother stage that'll happen here shortly. And
Don't you think
and I
it's
think
tough for
getting
them?
the balance.
I
Yeah.
mean, with the social media and all the stuff that,
Yeah.
that they have to contend with
Yeah,
that
I've seen it
we
firsthand.
never had to contend with.
No, it's absolutely horrible,
Yeah.
and
It's just tough to manage because they don't have the maturity to manage it.
it'll be interesting what their kids do with social media. I think that there'll be a backlash, and it'll swing the other way.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know, as things do.
Yeah,
you
they
know, I
always
think
the pendulum goes back and forth.
It sure does, and I think that we're going to look back at this time when you look around a restaurant or a subway car or any kind of social area, and everyone is looking at a device.
Right.
It kind of sickens you. So I think when you just look up and you're like, I look like that, and then you just makes you want to put your phone in your purse or in your back pocket and or get a flip phone.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
going to be interesting. I mean, it's going to change again. Some other technology is going to emerge. It's going to change the whole thing again.
Yeah.
And it's tough for the kids, though, I think.
It's awful.
I mean, I always tell people, I think I lived in the perfect era of mankind. I had just enough technology that life was comfortable, but not enough that screwed up my life. I could still go ride my bike, and no one knew where I was, and I wasn't Snapchatting with somebody, and I didn't have a wallet or an ID or anything, and I had a great day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I came home and we watched Walter Cronkite, and everything was good.
Yeah, my mom would say, "Be home by dark."
Yeah, that was our. we can, and in summertime that was 9:30.
Yeah, yeah.
So man, we were out till dark.
It was a really different era.
Totally different era.
But I do think that it allows them to be a little bit more aware of certain things that we weren't.
Right.
Social issues for sure.
Yeah.
My kids are, that's one thing that they really have access to. Even though social media can be very mean, that face-to-face interaction, they're not afraid to call people out or have those conversations. It's just the social media thing gets in the way.
Yeah, exactly. Now, your kids are what ages are they right now?
23. Avery is 22. Megan is 18 and on her way to U of A.
Okay.
And then Grant is 16.
Grant is 16.
Yeah.
Now, he sprouted up this year.
Oh God, he's 6
It's crazy.
feet tall. Yeah. It's and they're great kids. I've been really, really lucky, and they really feed me.
Yeah.
They really feed my soul. So.
Well, you've got 3 girls. I've got 3 girls.
Yep, that's true.
You were just lucky you got Grant.
I
the
know.
tail end.
I
Little
know.
gift.
My little guy. Yeah. Who's not so little.
That's pretty funny. I mean, life goes by fast, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's get ready for the gala.
Yep. Let's do it.
We're going to have fun.
It's going to be a great event. I mean, we're really looking forward to it, and we hope to see all our friends.
We've got
there.
a great table coming. I've got the Earth and Images gals, our squad, and then I've got a couple clients, and they're super excited about the event. So
yeah, it's going to be terrific,
Yeah.
and we have a special surprise.
Ooh,
So
good. Love surprises.
I know. Amy Bockersteady, you might remember, she shot par. She was the young woman with Down syndrome who shot par at the Waste Management Phoenix Open.
I didn't hear
with
about
Gary
that.
Woodland.
Oh, wow.
You
No,
didn't
I
hear?
missed that whole
Oh
thing.
my gosh. Amazing.
Huh.
So she was walking the hole. Gary Woodland gave her a club, said, "Hey, you wanna play the hole?" And she shot par.
Wow, good for her.
Awesome. I mean, the video's incredible.
That's so cool. Oh, so they captured the whole thing on video.
Oh yeah, it was actually ESPN's like one of the top 10 moments of 2019.
That's so cool.
And I would argue probably one of the top 10 moments of life.
Right.
Because watching a young person, she got up there and she kept saying to herself, I got this. And it was her mantra. And, I think it's become a lot of people's mantra.
That's cool.
It's just, you tell yourself,
It's all up
I'm
here.
going to get through this. I got this.
Yep. The biggest limiting factor I tell my staff all the time is you. Yeah. You're your biggest limit. Is just change your thinking, and all of a sudden the possibilities are wide open to you.
Yeah.
So
I think fear holds us all back, and
holds us back for no reason most of the time.
That's one thing that people with Down syndrome they don't have. And she wasn't afraid. She threw, they shot par and everybody's on their feet and clapping, and she's like looking up and she's like, yeah, I did that. And she didn't.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah,
now.
it's amazing. Well, we're gonna show it at the we're gonna show the clip.
Okay.
At the gala, and then we have a special surprise. So I won't give any more away. 'Cause
right.
I want everyone to.
Okay, so there's still some spots open at the gala.
Yep, we have a few tables left. The tickets are $250 a piece.
Okay.
Tables are $2,500.
Okay.
But it's a hosted bar, 3-course dinner, private concert by Bret Michaels. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it's a smoking deal, and especially given what it's going towards, you
Right.
can't lose on that deal.
You can't.
Right?
I mean, we are 99% volunteer run
Yeah.
at Gigi's. So
That's the thing I love
yeah.
about your organization is how much of the proceeds and what you raise goes right to those kids.
Almost
It's not like you have
every
this
dollar.
big bureaucracy
Nope.
just sitting there, getting golf memberships off of their contributions.
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't even have a private jet.
Yeah. Good for you. See, I like that. So, yeah, I encourage everybody. We'll put the link to the event. This is coming out this Monday on our podcast. So you got a week to sign up.
Yep.
And guarantee you're going to have a great time. There's going to be wonderful people there, first of all. You're going to be helping an amazing charity. And like I say, great food, great entertainment. So
It'll be fun.
let's
Fun
make it
night out.
happen.
Yeah. And it's great Gatsby inspired.
Oh,
so
there you go.
make
The
sure
Roaring
you put
20s.
Yeah. Well,
The Flappers.
the Roaring 2020s.
Yeah, the Roaring 2020s.
Yeah.
The double 20.
I know.
All right, so more to come. We will definitely. I told Nikki what I want to do is I want to do a podcast when you have the kids over there painting.
Fantastic.
And I'd like to interview some of them if that's possible.
Yeah, I love
and
it.
talk about the event and talk about what they're doing and about Gigi's and just make it a real interactive podcast.
I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year.
Happy New Year to you.
We'll see you next week. I know I've got
Sounds
a little
good.
project I got to work on for you before then, so I've got plenty of stuff to fill my time too. But thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you so much, Jennifer Gage. Great job. I tell you what, that lady always fires me up. I just love being around her. Her energy is always such a can-do attitude. And she's going to knock that gala out of the park next Saturday. So actually, it's this Saturday now. So get your tickets. I definitely encourage you to support this group. They do such great work. And like I said, every dollar that you give pretty much goes to all those kids. I mean, their administrative costs are so minimal. We've been very proud to contribute to this organization from donating all of our design services between Candelaria Design and Earth and Images. Like she said, Isabel gave her the first check that really kicked this whole thing off into gear. So it's something we definitely have our heart in. We will be a supporter forever. I mean, they just do fantastic work. And Jennifer Gage, you are a rock star, my friend, and you are our angel. I know you mentioned, you've got your angels out there. Well, you're one of our angels. So thank you so much, and God bless you, my dear. Okay, just a few announcements. Make sure you get in on our evening at Taliesin West, set for January 16th. You can go to our website, to the events page, and you can place your bid. We're auctioning off 30 spots to a fantastic dinner. As it turns out, I was planning on cooking, but I guess their kitchen's out of order. They're remodeling or doing something. So I'm off the hook for cooking, but we're going to line up a caterer. They're going to cook one of my recipes, and we're going to serve an amazing meal. And I'll tell you what, I'm kind of glad about that. I can spend more time now with the guests and really have a fun time that evening. We're going to give you a cocktail hour tour of the facility. I've got 2 graduates from Taliesin that are going to give you a personal tour of the facility. And then we'll have cocktails, watch the sunset, and then a fantastic dinner in the cabaret room in honor of Frank Lloyd Wright. And all the proceeds go to the Frank Lloyd Wright Taliesin Foundation. And so I encourage you to join us there. Okay, a happy new year to our good friends at Stockett Tile and Granite Company, where your project is our priority. I'll tell you what, we are getting close to getting our kitchen put together, and so many people are helping us on that project. And I'll tell you, one that I always enjoy working with and traveling with and cooking with is my good friend Dave Stockett and his lovely wife Becky. And their crew are helping us out tremendously there in the kitchen, so we want to thank them. They do fantastic work, and anytime you've got Dave and Adam, and his son Adam, and their crew on one of our projects, that's one area I don't have to worry about. I know it's going to be first class all the way. So thanks again, guys. It's making a great year. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.